Welcome. I'm Matthew Phelps, co-author of the Turning to God's Word Bible study, In the Beginning, the Book of Genesis. Today we'll be talking about lesson 25 of our study, which covers the book of Genesis, chapters 42 and 43. In this lesson, we see God's plan at an even higher level. So God used these Pharaoh's dreams and this pending famine to set Joseph up in Egypt. But he is now also using the famine to bring the family back together and to bring the house of Israel safely into Egypt. We won't get that far, but that's where we're going. And he needed Joseph there to make that happen. So all of this is planned by God at a pretty intricate level to affect a move of his people for a while to Egypt, which is mind-boggling, the level of coordination that takes. And Joseph had to go first for that to work out. So even the bad things that happened working toward the good. Here we see the reunion of the brothers, though we don't see the ones other than Joseph knowing that they have been reunited yet. So there's famine. Joseph's family, like everyone else in the world, shows up at Egypt, in the world around about, shows up at Egypt asking for food, and Joseph is the one doling out that or selling that food, probably at a very handsome rate, considering they're the only ones with food. So Joseph is in the position of seeing his brothers looking for food, not knowing that it's him. So he does give them food, but he also inquires about home. And he notices that not all of them are there. It turns out that Jacob is against letting Benjamin travel with all of his brothers now. Remember, Benjamin is the youngest son and the other one born from Rachel. So in the absence of Joseph, Benjamin would definitely be the last and most beloved son left to Jacob. And you have to think that Jacob's reluctance to let Benjamin travel with the other brothers, he might not really trust his sons because of what happened before. So Benjamin stayed home. The other 10 are there. And Joseph inquires about home. He clearly, definitely does still care about his father, and at least his brother Benjamin, and seems to be generally happy to see his other brothers. But he's not yet ready to tell them who he is. Instead, he gives them food and says, but he accuses them of being spies and says, I don't trust you. You're no good spies. You've told me you have another brother. Prove it. Bring me your other brother. Then you can have more food. Until then, you can have provisions for your journey, but I'm going to keep one of you here as he first says, I'm going to keep all of you but one, and then says, okay, I'll keep one, and the rest of you can go, but the one is staying in prison until you come back with your other brother. And then you can have all the food you want once you prove you're not spies and liars. What is Joseph doing here? I think he doesn't really know yet what his brother's hearts are, right? His last interaction with them was bad, right? So he needs to figure out what is the deal here. And as we know, he is very clever. And so he is using that to assess what the deal is. And he's using this whole situation to put tension. Also, he has nothing against Benjamin. Benjamin wasn't necessarily there. If there's one of these guys that he's interested in continuing to have a meaningful relationship with, it's the one who isn't there, who is his full brother. So he also wants to get Benjamin there because that's the one I think that he probably believes he's most likely to have a really good relationship with and want to see and have no hard feelings toward. So he's leveraging things for sure to get Benjamin there in Egypt, to figure out what to do from there, and the rest of them to kind of get a feel for what's going on. And eventually the brothers go home and Jacob says, absolutely not. You're not taking Benjamin. Um, Joseph's already lost, and now Joseph keeps Simeon, by the way, and now Simeon's gone too. We're definitely not letting you take Benjamin back there. No way. But 7-year famine, no food. Eventually, they all get hungry enough that he relents and sends everybody back. And so now we have all of the brothers gathered together, and there's a feast. We in this lesson do not get to the reveal. We get to the point where all of the brothers are again in Egypt. In the midst of the famine, it is common knowledge that there's food in Egypt. So one day, Jacob says to his sons, why are all you sitting around staring at one another doing nothing when there's food in Egypt? Go get us some food, dummies. Which is a good idea. And he sends the 10 brothers who are not already in Egypt or Benjamin to go take care of food. And we see the important plot point. He's not sending Benjamin. He's not willing to send Benjamin. He doesn't trust him with the brothers or to travel, some version of combination of those items. The brothers arrive. They end up in the presence of Joseph, who recognizes them, but they don't recognize him because they don't expect him to be in Egypt or to be second in charge of Egypt and to be wearing different clothes and, whatever. They're not looking for him there, so they don't see him. They think he's dead. So Joseph then decides to ask them some questions and also hatches a plan for how he's going to treat them. But after all these years and after long last, the brothers meet again. So Joseph, being clever, has to figure out what to do, because for all of the things that he has seen coming, this is not one of them. So he has to kind of act on the spot and come up with an idea. And this would be a hard position, because how do you even know what you want in this situation, right? Like, they're your family, but you parted on awful terms. But there are people at home that you're still close to. What you gonna do? And he hasn't reached out in all of this time. He could have, sent a letter or something home to Dad. He hasn't. So he clearly has very mixed feelings. This is an interesting spot for him. But at the very least, he has no problem putting his brothers through the ringer a little bit and buying some time. So that's what he does. He says, you all are spies. You're just coming here to check out the weakness of our land so you can come and take all the food, is the implication. They say, oh no, we're super honest brothers who would never do anything wrong, and we just want food. They go back and forth a little bit. Joseph keeps saying, no, I can tell you guys are spies. You're not going anywhere unless that other brother comes to prove that you're not lying. You're totally spies, and I'm going to put you all in jail. And then he puts them in jail for 3 days. Considering he spent years in jail, a few days seems just fine. And so he puts the brothers in jail. Having considered it for these 3 days that the brothers are in jail, Joseph decides, I'm not going to keep all of you but one. I'm going to keep one of you and let all of the others of you go back and get Benjamin. This seems like he mellowed a little bit when he had time to think about it. Then an interesting conversation happens. And it's here that we see another reason they might not have recognized Joseph. He is not speaking their language. He's speaking Egyptian, and he's using an interpreter, and they don't know that he understands them otherwise. So they have a side conversation where they say, we deserve this because of what we did to our brother Joseph. And then Reuben says, I told you all we shouldn't have done that. And that causes Joseph to have an emotional reaction when he hears them talking about and regretting what they did to him, without them knowing that he knows it. That's quite an interesting spot that he's in to get that level of catharsis, right? They haven't actually apologized or anything, but it would be nice to know after all this time that they do regret that they did that, and have changed enough that they at least see that as this is a bad thing we did. We deserve punishment for it, etc. So interesting situation. Joseph's still playing the dynamics of them not knowing that he can hear them, and of you all are a bunch of spies, and I need you to bring Benjamin. So he's sending, we'll see, but he's offered to send one back, and all back except one, instead of only one back. So Joseph, in hearing his brothers talk about their regret for what they did, turns and weeps, and then speaks to them. And that's where he confirms this revised version of the plan. He ties up Simeon and puts him back in jail and lets the others go. Note, they don't get to choose who stays behind. If you had to guess who might have been acting as a ringleader back then, and who Joseph might have the biggest grudge against, might be Simeon. Just saying, might be Simeon. If you had to guess good money, it was Simeon that he had the worst feelings toward. Just a thought. But anyway, Simeon gets to stay in jail, and all of the other brothers get to go back. They load up with grain and go to leave. And at that point, one of the brothers notices something alarming. They were not charged for the food they were given. They went there to buy food. They were accused of being spies. They gave money for food. Food was put in sacks and in packs and loaded up for them, and the money was put back with it when that happened. Far from being comforting to the brothers, this is a cause for alarm. This isn't what has God done for us. This is what has God done to us. These are brothers who are expecting to experience bad things and wrath from God, whereas Joseph is constantly expecting to receive good things and blessing from God. Notice how the one with the clean conscience has been able to live a life of peace and blessing, and the ones with dirtied consciences are always on edge, feeling slighted, like God is out to get them. They have had the specter hanging over them the whole time of they've done something unforgivable and they are not right with God, as it seems, which is correct. And so the brothers return home and tell their father the things that have happened. And most importantly, they need to tell their father because they need something from him, which is they need Benjamin to be able to go back with them to get food. They show Jacob, here we brought this food and our money. And everybody is still perplexed and kind of terrified by that. And ultimately, Jacob says, definitely not. You're not taking Benjamin. Joseph's already gone. Now Simeon's gone. We're just writing him off because you're not going back. So he's gone too. But Benjamin, I can't lose Benjamin. He's staying here. It'd kill me if that happened. And Reuben tries very hard to make a point of I'll guarantee his safety. You can kill my sons if he doesn't come back safely. Like, that makes it better. But at least he's trying. He's saying, I can guarantee he'll be safe this time. But Jacob says, no dice, can't do. I'll go down to my grave in sorrow forever if he doesn't come back. I don't trust you guys. Not happening. But of course, as we know, this is a lengthy famine. It's 7 years, and it's only just starting. So the food Joseph sent them back with runs out, and they're hungry again. And so, resume the conversation. Jacob says, yeah, you guys should go get some of that food. And they remind him, we can't do that unless they were very specific there in Egypt that we can't go back without our other brother. Really, Dad, we're happy to go, but we have to take Benjamin with us, or I don't think any of us are coming back. Happy to go. You have to let us bring Benjamin with us, or that's not going to happen. And Egypt being the only place that has food creates a very tense situation, wherein eventually Judah says, okay, I'll guarantee him. You didn't want Reuben to guarantee him with his kids. I'll guarantee him with myself. Whatever that means, like, you can hold it against me forever. I personally, myself, in that place, I guarantee it. I will make sure he comes back safely. And you can hold it against me forever if not. And by the way, if you hadn't dragged your feet on this, we could have been there and come back twice, and we could all be eating. Jacob is not stupid. He eventually understands the point that they're all going to die anyway if he doesn't send Benjamin. So really, what does he have to lose? And with that in mind, they gather presents from their land, anything they can think of value, to try to placate and please Joseph. They take back the money that was given back to them because they're worried that there was a misunderstanding, along with other money to buy new food, and they send Benjamin. So they're trying very hard to do the right thing here in a situation where they don't really understand what's going on, but necessity is driving this. They need the food badly enough that they're willing to take the risk. When they arrive, Joseph sees Benjamin and says, okay, they're all coming to dinner at my house now. Let them know that that's what we're doing. Does not greet them yet. Sends servants ahead to do this. The servants are bringing them to Joseph's house. They're worried. They're thinking, this isn't the normal thing. Why are they pulling us out of the normal line and bringing us to this frightening and powerful guy who doesn't like us? They get to Joseph's house. Simeon is reunited with them. And they pull one of the servants aside and say, hey, we accidentally, we got home with our money that we were supposed to pay you. Like, we brought it. Like, we're not trying to do that. Like, please don't use this as an excuse to seize us and our donkeys. We have that with us. And the servant, clearly instructed by Joseph, says, we got your money. I don't know what you're worried about. Your God and the God of your father must have put treasure in your sacks for you. Joseph is orchestrating all of this. And that's when Simeon comes out, and they're getting ready for a feast at Joseph's house. Not at all what they were expecting or what they had prepared for. And then at last, all of the brothers are joined together again. Joseph asks about their welfare, their dad's welfare. He clearly cares how especially Jacob is doing still. They bow down to him, they give him the stuff they brought, and then Joseph finally has a chance to see and to focus on Benjamin, and he is overwhelmed. This for me again raises the idea that he cared a lot more about having Benjamin in his presence than any of the rest of them. And he had maybe originally had aims of bringing Benjamin only to Egypt, to live with them and, leave all the others to their own devices. It sure seems like if that's what he was trying to do, the things he's doing are working in that direction. And to this point still, it kind of looks like that's what he's trying to do. It's not what happens, which is interesting. Who's really the clever one here? Is it Joseph or is it God? We'll see how it plays out. But I think it's fair to read this so far like Joseph is trying to reunite with his brother Benjamin and kind of doesn't mind messing the others around and doesn't seem as interested in them. Then the brothers together share a meal with the interesting stipulation that there is this rule still that Egyptians and Hebrews cannot eat together because it's an abomination. But Joseph, the Hebrew, is still second in command of Egypt. But for the sake of what's going on and this thing that is playing out that Joseph is orchestrating, he is not a Hebrew, he is an Egyptian. So interesting layers to what is going on here for sure. Everyone gets generous portions from Joseph's table, and Benjamin gets 5 times as much as everyone else. Is Joseph intending right now that all of the brothers are fine with him? We'll see what happens as the story develops, but it doesn't really look like it. Lots of interesting political and currents and maneuvering going on here, mostly from Joseph and God. And that's where we're at. The brothers are reunited. They're in Egypt. All of them are there. They're sharing a meal. What could possibly go wrong? This has been an overview of Lesson 25 of the Turning to God's Word Bible Study, In the Beginning, the Book of Genesis. For more information, consult our written study and visit us online at turningtogodsword.com.